Hello, my name is Dylan, but you can call me Buttercup. Welcome to Buttercup Yarn Art, a soft-spoken video journal where I play with yarn and share my thoughts. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe. If there's anything you'd like to hear me talk about, please leave a comment to let me know. I am still working on the Gigi Cardi from Knititude, but my progress has been glacially slow as of late, so I don't really have much to show that would be interesting. And tomorrow being Halloween, I figured I would give you a look at the Busy Peach Peachy Yarn Club October colorway, which is Ectoplasm. It is a fingering weight, 100% recycled cotton yarn. I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do with it yet. I considered kind of building a colorwork sweater project around it, but I have a couple of projects in the queue that are going to be fingering weight already, and it's admittedly not my favorite to work with. I prefer thicker yarns, so I don't want to add another big fingering weight project. So I think I'm probably just going to make socks with it. I think they'll be really nice. It's very soft. And I do think it's going to be very nice to work with. And the stitch markers that I have lined up here are from the Katrinkle's monthly mystery stitch marker subscription. I don't precisely know what it's called. I don't subscribe to it, but sometimes there are leftovers, and I bought these. I wasn't particularly looking for them, but I saw a picture of these specific ones, and I knew I needed them, so I ordered a bunch of stitch markers, and I added, when they came in, I added jump rings to them because I like the bulb shaped stitch markers because they kind of put the fun dangly bit away from my needle, which I prefer, but the hole in the stitch markers themselves is too small for them to rest at the thin end of the bulb, so I added the jump rings so that they would sit the way I want them and they could be as versatile as I want them to be. And I did that for all of the ones I got with the bulb shape, just to make sure that they work for me and I don't regret a thing. And kind of speaking of Halloween, that's actually the first thing I want to talk about, because tomorrow is Halloween, and Halloween is my favorite holiday. I liked it as a kid because I got a bunch of candy, and I still like the candy. I am a sucker for any gimmicky Reese's product, but especially the pumpkins. Reese's pumpkins are my favorite. I think I've even seen bats once or twice, but the pumpkins and the bats, if they have them, are my favorite because they're Halloween. And I'm a sucker for anything Halloween. I'm also a sucker for gimmicky Reese's. I think it was this past Easter season, I saw Reese's eggs but not like the oval-shaped Reese's eggs that you see every year. They were more like Reese's Cadbury eggs, if you know what those are. They were like actually three-dimensionally egg-shaped and filled with peanut butter. It was the best. I loved it. I only got like 2 and I wish I had gotten a whole case. But I love gimmicky Reese's. I'm kind of a sucker for them. I'm also a sucker for like anything Halloween themed. I love Halloween. I love the aesthetic mostly at this point in my life, but just the whole atmosphere of Halloween. I love it. I love that, everyone gets a little dark and spooky during Halloween season. I love that, it kind of lowers a lot of boundaries that we have in day-to-day life. I love Halloween so much. I love fall. Fall is my favorite season, and Halloween is my favorite holiday. And just the whole thing makes me very happy. And I'm very excited. I love getting to wear the things that I've knit and crocheted. And I have now a couple of Halloween shawls. I wore one to work yesterday. I dressed in all black so that it would stand out against my outfit. And then I'm planning to wear the other tomorrow. For actual Halloween. Again, I'm going to wear a black shirt so it stands out. And in addition to that, because the weather is getting cooler, I get to wear the sweaters that I've made more often, which I love doing. I actually wore my sorrel sweater to work a couple of weeks ago, which was exciting for me. And having worn it for a day, I am a bit less satisfied with it as a finished product. I think everything is still a bit too long. I'm not going back and shortening it again. I'm not dealing with that bind off again. So it's staying solidly in the finished pile. I think I'm going to wind up wearing it a bit less than I would have wanted to. Which is a bit of a disappointment, but it'll be alright. But Halloween kind of signals an upping in the frequency with which I get to wear the things that I've made, and I love that. And it's also suddenly socially acceptable to be spooky, which I also love. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about is posting about the things that I'm making and the things that I have made, and kind of taking pictures of them and sharing them with the world. And I've been doing a lot less of that for a while now than I would really like to be doing. That is because for a year and a half now, I have not been able to use my phone camera, which I find deeply frustrating. I can sometimes get the selfie camera to work, but the regular camera, I haven't been able to use it for like a year and a half now. I got it to work once or twice. You stay where I put you, please. But I think there was some sort of update with the camera app back then, and just I haven't been able to use my phone camera. And I looked at the reviews on the camera app in the App Store, and it wasn't just me. It was a lot of people with the same model of phone that I have were suddenly unable to use their cameras in March of 2020. But the phone that I wanted finally came out, and I was going to go get one yesterday after work so I could have the whole weekend to play with it and get everything set up the way I like and get used to it and all that. And I went to the store. I picked one closer to where I live so that it wouldn't be just burning a hole in my brain the entire car ride home. I mean, it would be regardless, but to shorten the amount of time it was boring a hole in my brain. So I went to a store near where I live, and I got there and I was all excited. I've kind of been threatening my phone all week, telling it, hey, your days are numbered. Maybe you want to have some good behavior to go out on. And my phone responded by going kind of scorched earth. It will restart when I'm trying to watch a video on YouTube. It will decide that the battery is dead at just under 50%. The battery life doesn't last very long if it's, being used. Even if it's not being used, it'll drop from 100% down to 60% in 3 hours without me using it at all, if it's not plugged in. It's really frustrating. So I have been super excited to get a new phone, and I walked to the store and they didn't have it. They didn't have the phone I wanted. And I'm not willing to compromise on it. So I walked out without a phone. And I got home. I ordered the new phone online. And I am waiting extremely impatiently for it to be delivered. And I wanted to pick it up on a Friday so I could have the whole weekend to just, bury myself in my phone, in my new phone, get it working and get all the giggles and novelty out so that I wouldn't just be, trying to bury myself in it at work during the week while it's still new. But the current delivery estimate is Tuesday. I'm hoping that once it gets delivered, I'm able to set it up quickly. And once I have everything set up the way I want to, and all that, and all my accounts logged in, I am hoping to post more about my knitting and about the things I'm doing, because it'll be a lot easier to take photos. I can take them pretty much any time, very conveniently, if I have my phone camera, as opposed to using the camera that I use to film, which I have to, get out of my camera bag, make sure the battery is charged, take off the lens cap, set the camera up, stage the photo, take the photo, like a bajillion photos, transfer them from, take the SD card out of the camera, plug the SD card into my computer, get the pictures off the SD card, clear the SD card, put the SD card back in the camera, put the lens cap back on, put it back in the camera bag, pick which photos I want to post, send them to myself on email, open my email on my phone, download them from my email, and then and only then can I finally go and post them. It's very frustrating. I don't like it. And so I haven't been posting as many pictures. But with my phone, I just have to stage the photo how I like, take the photo, and then I can post it wherever I want. Probably still take a million photos just to, make sure I get a good one. But there are fewer steps if I can take pictures directly on my phone. So I hope to be able to do that again soon. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to do that with my new phone. I'm looking forward to being able to do that with my new phone. I'm looking forward to not having to have my phone plugged in 24/7 just to be able to use it. I'm really frustrated with not having my new phone yet. But I think that is everything. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.